The veil of illusion is being lifted with Neptune stationing retrograde. So what is being revealed to you? That's what we're covering on this week's episode of Magic Monday. Hi, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to Just Your Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrological forecast for the week of July 1st to July 7th, 2024. And beyond just letting you know your horoscope for the week ahead, here on Magic Monday, we strive to empower you with ways that you can co-create with the cosmos, ways that you can plan with the planets, ways that you can align with the astrology, so that beyond just reacting to these energies, you are working with them, synchronizing with the cosmos in order to experience more magic, alignment, and flow within your universe. And I'd like to emphasize that word flow. When it comes to navigating this week's astrology, it is deeply important that you flow with the currents of the cosmos, whether the seas are a bit choppy or whether they are a bit calm, because this week's forecast is honestly a mixed bag of both. Let's firstly start with the calm seas of this week's cosmos. So we have some delicious flowy trines this week. We have Mercury trine Neptune, we have Venus trine Saturn, we have a really yummy Cancer new moon. There's this energy around allowing ourselves to be the container that holds moments of aligned serendipity, of deep, immense, bountiful love, of soul-centered inspiration that guides you and supports you into the next chapter of your life that you're being asked to flow into. This week holds the possibility for this. So while there are some beautifully renewing waves of energy, of love and faith and compassion and inspiration and stability flowing into your weekly forecasts, we also need to be the container that allows for the ebb. With every flow comes an ebb, lessons from the ocean. And this week we do have some more challenging energies. We have Venus square Chiron, which could bring up certain wounds of belonging. And we have Mercury entering Leo, who goes on to oppose Pluto, which can be charging your midweek with feelings of paranoia, obsession, power struggle. We also have Neptune stationing, which can have you sifting through energetic, psychic, intuitive data, questioning what is real and what is not, what is true and anchored within your own experience, and what may have been your own projection. When we have strong Neptune in the cosmos, sometimes there can be sensations of feeling lost at sea, feeling confused. There could have been things that we felt so certain about, sandcastles that we've built, that a wave comes and knocks it away, and all of a sudden we don't know where to begin. Neptune energy can make things murky like that. But what you're being asked to do with both the beautiful waves of energy as well as the more rocky seas is to honor that it's not permanent. So when those sensations of love and faith and inspiration flow into your experience, relish in it, bask in it, float in it, right? Be there. But also honor, just as the tide comes in, the tide goes out. And the energetic and emotional frequencies that we are surfing through can change just as quickly. And when you honor that it's not permanent, you honor it won't always feel like this. Let me sit within this. Let me see what it's here to teach me. And let me trust that the tide will come in. The waves will come in and heal my heart. I'll feel inspired again. I'll feel myself again, whatever the story may be. And of course, within our horoscope, we'll chat more about what this means for your life, some practical ways in which this energy can surface, as well as how you can lean into these energies in order to swim through these seas, avoiding the currents. We'll chat about it thematically as well as day by day. But before we do, take a step inside my cosmic cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. I have here a delightful Magic Mind matcha latte. Magic Monday, Magic Mind. It is a match made in heaven. And if you watch Magic Monday pretty regularly, you've heard me talk about Magic Mind, because truly this little productivity shot is my secret weapon that powers up me as a person, as an astrologer, as a comet at that. So if you've never heard me talk about Magic Mind, allow me to indulge you. So Magic Mind is a productivity shot that works with your brain and body in order to get you into flow state. And how apt is that to talk about flow state on such a Neptunian week of astrology? Because flow state is when you are in that divine mode of inspiration, when there is no separation between you and the project, the activity that you are doing. You flow, you become one, and you are literally surfing with the waves of energy. It's when you are so dialed in into the task at hand, that there is no separation between you and what it is that you are doing. Your focus is completely dialed into the task at hand, which can help you unearth creativity, efficiency, detail orientation that you didn't even realize that you had. And the way that Magic Mind helps you in getting into that state is that it's supported with adaptogens, nootropics, as well as matcha. So it gives you that caffeine boost from the matcha, but not in a jittery, all over the place sort of way, but more so in a focused, grounded state of being. I personally love that Magic Mind contains lion's mane, which is super helpful for focus and memory, as well as ashwagandha, which really helps relieve my stress and anxiety. So it helps superpower productivity, but not in an unnatural way. It's just as natural as catching a wave, right? And allowing yourself to flow with inspiration, with focus, with productivity. And Magic Mind is such a seamless part of my morning routine. I typically take my shot of Magic Mind along with my morning cup of coffee. Some days like today, I like to shake it up and have a little fun by making a Magic Mind latte. So what I did is I put 2 shots of the Magic Mind in a cup. I went ahead and put some ice in there, some water, and then I cold foamed some almond milk. And it's absolutely delightful, a really yummy matcha latte with the benefits of all of the adaptogens, nootropics, and immunity ingredients that are within. So it's truly like a super matcha latte. And the other way that Magic Mind makes it so seamless to integrate within your daily routine is that there is a subscription option. So there's free shipping when you subscribe, you save when you subscribe, easy cancellation. You could cancel at any point in time. There's also a money back guarantee with your first purchase. You can opt for 15 bottles if you want to do one every 2 days. You can opt for 30 bottles if you want to be like me and take one every single day. This latte has 2 shots in it. That's absolutely not necessary, but this is a day that I have quite a lot to do, so I definitely wanted to be focused as I did it all. So if you want to support flow state within your brain and get yourself energized to take on each day without having to lean upon very jarring, heavily caffeinated beverages, I deeply recommend checking out Magic Mind. You can get up to 48% off when you go to my link and use the code Comet. So I'll drop that link in the description as well as within the pinned comment. So thank you, Magic Mind, for sponsoring this week's Magic Monday and keeping my Monday and my everyday magical at that. We appreciate you so much. But without further ado, now that we are caffeinated but dialed in, focused, energized, and deeply in flow state, let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. Okay, so if you are new to Magic Monday, firstly, I want to say welcome to the Cosmic Corner. So happy that you are here. Vibe Check of the Week is a segment that we do here on Magic Monday to help you figure out what this astrology means for you, means for your week, means for your schedule, for the meetings you have scheduled this week, for the dates that you have planned, for the friend hangouts that you have planned. You may be asking, how will this astrology literally surface within my world? And Vibe Check of the Week is a segment to help you figure that out. So we essentially compare all of the energetics that we will experience this week, from Mars sextile Saturn, Venus square Chiron, Venus trine Saturn, Mercury entering Leo. We compare what that astrology feels like to a real life scenario, which I will chat you through. So I'm not saying this exact situation will play out within your universe, but tune into the overall vibe of it to figure out what may come alive at your meetings this week, at your dates this week, at your friend hangouts this week. And so this week's astrology feels like the following hypothetical scene. We will say that a legitimate miracle occurs, and that is that you and your friends all happen to have the same day free to go to the beach. You know, the older you get, the more and more impossible it can be to find a day that aligns for everybody. But magically, synchronistically, it all comes together and you all are able to go to the beach on the same day. And the weather is cooperating. It's a beautiful day. You divvy up the tasks and responsibilities. You're on sandwiches. Somebody else is bringing kombucha, somebody else is making the playlist, somebody else is bringing the beach chairs, and everything just flows together and comes together, and you all are able to get parking at the beach. You find the perfect spot at the beach, the playlist is playing, the waves are crashing, the sun is shining, and the vibes are vibing. So you're having a great time, but beneath the surface, you're starting to pick up on an energy. There is a friend within the friend group where you guys are cool, but sometimes there's just this weird vibe and you're like, is this in my head? Did they like me? There's feelings sometimes where you're like, I feel like this person hates me, and it comes through in very subtle ways. Do keep in mind, we're in Cancer season, which is all about the more intuitive domains of life. So we're a lot more perceptive to elements that are a little bit more subconscious, that are a little bit more psychic. And at this beach day, you're trying to enjoy yourself, but you can't get over these feelings of obsessiveness within your head around, what did I do to her? Why is she looking at me like that? Why does she react like that every time I say something? And you're also battling with yourself because you're like, is it in my head? Am I being paranoid? Does she not like me? What did I do? And so you're trying to have fun. You're trying to flow with this beautiful synchronistic beach day that you all have planned, but you can't help but obsess over the way that she reacted when you told that story and the side eye that she gave you when you first got to the beach. You're like, does this person hate me? And for the sake of the vibe check, we'll call this friend that you kind of have this weird vibe with, we will call her Belinda. And the situation with Belinda is snowballing, where you're starting to ask, does anybody like me? Does everybody here hate me? Did they just like pity invite me to the beach and not actually want me here? So you're just kind of withdrawing from the conversation with the rest of the individuals at the beach because you're so just in your own head. So you just tan your back, you just kind of lie on your tummy, and you just continue to allow these thoughts to permeate within your mind as you're just more and more convinced that everybody hates you, and you hear the rest of your friends laughing and joking and having a great time. And you hear Belinda say that she is going to go frolic in the ocean for a little bit, and you're somewhat relieved just so that you can have a space from this off energy you're sensing from Belinda. But while she's in the ocean, you decide, you're like, you know what? I am going to just torture myself with these thoughts. Let's see if there is a problem, and maybe if there's something that can be solved. Let's at least see, does Belinda hate me? Like, where am I getting this energy from? And to see if we can move forward in some way. And you're like, what a better place to do that than in the ocean, right? This healing, spiritually renewing body of water. She's certainly not going to beat me up in the ocean, right? So you go out to where Belinda is and you say hi, and she says hi. It's definitely not icing you out, but there's just a weird vibe. And you're like, hey, Belinda, I'm so sorry if this is out of nowhere. I'm so sorry if this is in my own head. I'm so sorry if this is crazy, but I'm just picking up on an energy, and I just wanted to address it with you. Like, is there something that I did that hurt your feelings? Is there a reason why you gave me that look earlier? Is there a reason why you made that comment when I made that joke? Again, I could be being sensitive, but I just wanted to address and clear the air with you directly because I'm just picking up on something, and I value you as a friend, and I would love to know what I can do to make it up to you if there was something I did that crossed the line with you. And Belinda's quiet for a moment, and you are freaking out. You're not typically this forthright when it comes to your emotions and your vulnerability, right? Wearing your heart on your sleeve. And finally, Belinda says, hey, I am so sorry. It has nothing to do with you, I swear. Honestly, I've just been kind of struggling the last couple times that I've seen you. The weather's been really warm. We haven't been wearing much clothes. Like, obviously I'm wearing a bathing suit right now, and I just can't help but to compare my body to yours. And you are floored. That was the last thing that you expected to come out of Belinda's mouth. You would have never conceptualized that in a million years, that was the internal narrative that she was battling with. Again, intuitively, you picked up on something, but when you try to fill in the gaps, right? When you try to figure out this is why she hates me, this is what I did, you can be completely off base. Like, we just don't know what people are battling with. And Belinda, by being very honest and vulnerable with you while you guys are, playing in the ocean, it allows you to realize, like, oh my goodness, is that where it's coming from? Like, I didn't realize that you felt so insecure within your own body. And she explains, like, around summer is typically when her insecurities kind of flare up because she's not wearing much clothes, and she just considers your body type to be the ideal. So she just has a weird vibe with you, not because of you or anything that you did, but just because of what you represent to her, which again is a battle and insecurities and inadequacies that you had no idea that she was battling with. But because you guys have this vulnerable heart-to-heart within the ocean, you're genuinely able to talk it through. And so the two of you within the ocean, you hug and you cry and you vow in that moment to have a new chapter for your friendship, one that is built upon honesty and emotional vulnerability and to feel safe enough to be forthright with one another around what you two could potentially be going through, and to be able to feel grounded enough to not take things personally. And that's important when it comes to your week of astrology, because when we have Neptune energy alive in the cosmos, when we have all this Cancer energy, we're very intuitively dialed in. We're very psychically attuned to our environment. But while your intuition is on point and accurate, sometimes we strive to fill in the gaps and we arrive to the wrong solution, right? Like you were so convinced that Belinda hated you as a person, and then you allowed that to snowball and you thought everybody hated you as a person, but it really had nothing to do with you. It was what you represented, and you would have never conceptualized that. You had no idea. But because you were honest and direct around, hey, I'm picking up on this, because again, it's not to say that we need to throw all of our intuitive psychic hits into the trash. With Mercury opposite Pluto midweek, you could get yourself into a very obsessive, paranoid headspace, so convinced that a certain situation is the case when the reality of the situation is something completely different. Again, Neptune fogs and confuses, and we can be seeing things through the projections of our own insecurities, potentially. That's emphasized also with Venus square Chiron, right? You're projecting on Belinda your insecurities, I'm annoying, no one likes me, and Belinda's projecting her insecurities of that's the ideal body and I look awful in comparison. So the two of you are not seeing one another clearly, but there's this opportunity this week to really experience growth within our connections and even within our conflicts. And we see that with Venus trine Saturn and Mars sextile Saturn. We also have a new moon in Cancer, which aligns with Venus and trine Saturn. So there's a possibility to turn a new page within our connections, a page that is grounded with care and compassion and provides us the opportunity to build. That's the energy of Saturn, is stability, is anchoring. And again, maybe working that muscle of getting on the same page with someone else. It could be easy this week with Neptune retrograde, Mercury opposite Pluto, and Venus square Chiron to retreat within yourself, to obsess, to be triggered, to project things onto people. But there's genuine opportunities to grow within our connections, particularly when we choose to move forward with compassion, with care, with vulnerability also. And so we'll talk about some other ways in which these energies may manifest for you and for your universe within our day-by-day analysis. I just want to let you know that when I mention a time, I am referring to the time zone PDT, or Pacific time zone. So please ensure to adjust to your time zone, as these energies may exact at a different date and a different time than the one that I state, dependent on where it is that you are located within this wide, wonderful world. I also want to highlight that I have timestamps below available for your convenience should you feel called to advance to a particular day or come back to a particular day. There's also a gear icon here on YouTube where you can slow me down if you'd like, you can speed me up if you'd like. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology of Monday, July 1st. So happy Monday. Welcome to your horoscope for Monday, July 1st. So great news for all of us this Cancer season. The moon is transiting the sign of its exaltation, Taurus, all day long. And with a lot of the cosmos currently positioned in the Cancer section of the sky, what the moon is doing is of special significance, because all of those planets at the exact time being Sun, Mercury, and Venus, all of them are answering to the moon. So when the moon changes, those planets change and the vibe changes. And that was even reflected within the vibe check, right? The changeability of the vibe. Like there was moments of being so deliciously present and soaking in the sunshine and drinking kombucha and eating your sandwich and just feeling so dialed in with the environment, like how miraculous we all had today free. And then the vibe shifted and all of a sudden you're picking up on something different. Like Cancer season contains these fluctuations of emotion, of energy, and the vibe shifts, which is why it's asking us to be present with what is coming to the surface currently. Just as we wouldn't fight against a wave, it asks us to flow with the emotions that we're picking up. And with the Cancer placements trining Saturn, It's also important to, yes, be the container for those emotions, but not letting them rule you, right? Like Saturn is very grounded. Like if you would have let those emotions win out within the vibe check, you might have just screamed at Belinda in front of everybody else and maybe even thrown your kombucha at her, right? If you would allow that emotion to run supreme. It's not denying the emotion or denying the wave, but with the energies of the trines to Saturn, it's really around, okay, I feel this. Is there something that I need to do with this? Because not every emotion necessarily demands a response in that particular moment. Sometimes we just need to be the container to hold it and see if it does shift. And if it remains and there's something that we need to handle in order to build forward, again with these trines to Saturn, then allowing ourselves to approach it from this much more practical, level-headed perspective. Again, we're feeling deeply. We've got a lot of the cosmos in water currently, but we're not letting that run us, right? We're not allowing ourselves to give way to emotional impulses. We're allowing ourselves to feel, to be the container, and if we feel so inclined to act, we're doing so from a more logical, pragmatic standpoint with the Saturnian energies that are present. And so what this week's astrology asks for is how can we embrace and allow the full spectrum of emotions and the observations of energy fluctuations without allowing ourselves to act on it right away. Because when we acknowledge that things are constantly shifting, you don't want to take a permanent action for something that was a temporary emotion or state of being or even paranoia or projection. It's allowing your emotions as they come through, but really seeking to ground yourself before you do take action. I would say that's particularly noteworthy just with Mars sextile Saturn aligning later in the week. But all of that to say, what the moon is doing is of the importance because it can represent where we are experiencing these energetic and emotional fluctuations. And currently the moon is well positioned in Taurus, which could grant your Monday, moon day, a certain level of groundedness, of stability, of deeply wanting to nourish and nurture yourself, potentially through your senses, right? Making a delicious comfort meal, going out in nature. It's important to keep in mind that as we build to Friday's new moon in Cancer, the moon is currently in the waning crescent moon phase, which oftentimes can make us more inclined to want to retreat, to want to withdraw from the external world. And it's important to honor yourself that space to do just that. Just as we allow energy to fluctuate, it's also allowing yourself to fluctuate. There will be seasons of your life in which you want to say yes to the beach day and say yes to all the plans. And there will be times in which you're feeling a little raw. You want to withdraw, you need to nourish yourself from within. So it's really important to build that muscle around checking in on yourself. How can I deeply comfort and take care of myself within this present moment in time? And the waning crescent moon phase can also be a time in which we are looking inward more so for answers. So there could be an ask around coming inward to ask yourself the questions around, what is it that I truly want? What is it that I want to feel? Because yes, the new moon is a time to invite in new people, places, and things into our world. It's a celestial blank slate. But with this new moon concentrated in the sign Cancer, it's really around aligning yourself to the people, places, and things that will align to the emotions that you're really wanting to get at. Because that's what we want. We don't want the stuff, we want what we think it's going to make us feel. We've just assigned this thing, this person, this place, this situation to be what will get closer to that, to those emotions that we want to feel. There is this quote that I repeat often, so I do apologize if you've heard it in a Magic Monday before, but it's that the root of all ambition is to be happy at home. Again, this is such a Cancerian concept around all of the chasing and the hustling and the achievements within the world. At the end of the day, it is about being able to come home at the end of the day and feel at ease with yourself, feel happy about what it is that you are producing and creating. And so that may be something that you pull into the new moon in Cancer, but during this week's waning crescent moon, it can be potent to really contemplate, to look for answers from within, to even look to answers from spirit, to spend time in prayer and meditation, to deeply contemplate what's valuable to me. because this outer world cannot tell you what is right for your soul. And this outer world cannot tell you what will bring you closer to those emotions that you want to feel within this world. This outer world cannot tell you what would make you feel satisfied at the end of a long day, right? That can only come from within, which is emphasized with this waning crescent moon. So that also could be something that you're feeling. On Monday, it is a rather productive day. The moon aligns with Mars around 9 a.m. So you may find in the morning time you're more inclined to want to work out, to go after your ambitions. You know, Taurus energy, it's slow and steady, okay? We're not burning ourselves out. We are not hustling, but with the moon aligning with Mars, you may find that there is an urgency by which you are approaching your day. Not doing things fast, but more so striving to get yourself in momentum. An object in motion stays in motion. So there's an energy around grabbing hold of the week, being proactive, right? The most challenging thing sometimes, especially with all this cozy energy, we've got all this Cancer and Taurus in the cosmos, the most challenging thing can be getting out of bed, right? Or getting off the couch, right? Once we're up and we're in motion, it's easier to, okay, I gotta handle this and I gotta handle this. It just takes that initial oomph to get up, to get moving, to get out of bed, right? And so this would be a great day to get after it, because then the energy of Taurus can be very consistent around showing up in a slow, steady, yet intentional pace. And with the Taurus moon sextile Venus in Cancer around 11:42 a.m. and then sextile Saturn at 2:28 p.m., there's lots of productive, grounded, fertile terrain, I would say, for your Monday to handle your tasks, to handle your responsibilities, to handle what's valuable and what's important to you. But again, it's slow, it's steady, it's taking time for breaks, it's taking time for self-care, it's taking time to really nurture what's important to you and taking care of yourself as you do so. Like, this is a great day to make sure that you make yourself a nice lunch, that you walk outside, that you drink lots of water, that you do the things that genuinely take care of yourself. You know, Cancer season is around how it is that we nurture, how it is that we take care of things, whether that is a plant, a pet, a child, right? But also allow yourself to apply that nurturing energy to things that are beyond sentient beings. And you know, Cancer season is all around how it is that we nurture and take care of things, whether that is a plant, a pet, a child, sentient beings, of course. But what I also want to bring to the surface here is nurturing things that are perhaps not sentient beings, but deserve your care as well. Things such as your physical home, your abode, the passion project that you are working on. These too deserve your care. These too deserve your nurturing. I would encourage, particularly in the waning crescent moon, to contemplate how it is that you can nurture your home by releasing, right? Releasing clutter, releasing junk, releasing belongings that may have served you at one point in time but no longer do. Allowing yourself to sweep away, to release anything that is not serving, because Cancer season is all around our home. And you can just think of your home as just a building that encases you, but it's so much more. Like I was saying, the root of all ambition is to be happy at home. Your home should be a place that inspires you, enlivens you, allows you to rest and recuperate and withdraw from sometimes the very harsh realities of our external world. Now, it's not to say that we all have, $1 million to be able to build our dream home, but really looking around at your environment and contemplating, is this a space in which I can truly rejuvenate myself? Or does it stress me out more? Because there's bills on the table, there's junk in the office, there's all of these distractions, right? And during waning crescent moons, it is a time that's supportive around essentially gain through release, around how much more we can have when we release. Like, things in our home take up energy. If you ever feel stagnant, get rid of some stuff, sweep, move some energy, and you'll feel this influx of inspiration. Allow yourself to release, especially during the waning crescent moon. And allow yourself to really nurture your home as though it were a sentient being. I mean, I'm, your resident Pisces astrologer, so obviously things are going to get a little woo-woo here in the cosmic corner. But I truly believe my home has a personality. She has an energy to it. I can feel when the energy's off. I know when it's time to cleanse. I know when it's time to release, because I can feel it. And like, getting to know the soul, the spirit of your home. Even in meditation, you can ask, can I connect to the spirit of my home? And the more you can just kind of trust around the energy around, ooh, it's time for me to like deep clean, or ooh, there's like a weird vibe, I need to cleanse after that party that I had, the more that you are nurturing this environment that ultimately nurtures you, right? It's like nurturing the environments that also pour into you. It's nurturing the projects, even beyond just talking about home. It's nurturing the projects that also pour into you, whether that's an intrinsic benefit of feeling like you are making a difference, or it's making your heart happy, or it's a creative expression. It's really honoring the symbiotic flow around what we pour into and how that in turn pours back into us. And so all I would say is look around at your home, look at your art, look at the junk, look at the clutter. If it does not bring you joy, ease, bliss, whatever it is that you want to feel within your home, contemplate releasing it or switching out the artwork. You don't need $1 million in order to make the shifts that can make your home a more nurturing space to be in. And it may just be supportive in the waning crescent moon phase to really contemplate, does this artwork serve me? Do I need to sweep? Do I need to go through that scary closet that I haven't gone through in a couple of years? The answer is yes, if your intuition pulls you to, and you'll be shocked how much space you feel comes into your world, yes, to a physical level, but also to an energetic spiritual level when you do release. I gain through release would be an energy to contemplate on Monday. So on Tuesday, July 2nd, at 3:40 a.m., Neptune will station retrograde at 29 degrees Pisces. Neptune is hovered at the aneretic degree. This is the final degree, astrologically speaking, right? Pisces is the final sign, 29th degree is the final degree. And Neptune was so close. It was like kind of peering over, looking at 0 degrees Aries, about to put its foot in, but now it's screeching on the brakes and it's like, never mind, I still have some loose ends to wrap up with my transit in Pisces. And as we talk about on this channel, it's not the most deeply personal thing when we have outer planets retrograde. We currently have Pluto retrograde, we have Saturn retrograde, and we have Neptune now retrograde. When it comes to these energies, I'm not saying just because they've screeched on the brakes and are heading backwards now, from our vantage point here on Earth anyway, that you need to screech your brakes. Like, obviously, the direction of life moves in one direction, and that is forward. It's not saying we need to pause life. It's not saying that disaster will ensue. But what I will say is that we do feel planets very strongly when they do switch directions. And so you can feel like earlier this week just has this Neptunian haze tinged to it. And something important to keep in mind about retrogrades is that it does turn the lens inward. And so with Neptune now retrograde, you could be contemplating where it is that you have kept yourself suspended in fantasy or even suspended in delusion, potentially. Because the energy of Neptune, it's like a kaleidoscope, right? It's dazzling, it's dizzying, there's all these light fractals and colors. But you could be so certain that you're looking at something that's pink and orange, and then all of a sudden something shifts and now it's green and blue. And something that you felt so certain about, now all of a sudden you're suspended in confusion. And it could just leave you this energy of sifting through what's real and what's not. Because like I said, energetically, intuitively, we are dialed up. But with Neptune retrograde, we're either not totally believing our intuition, or the energetic data that we are picking up on is accurate, but we are keeping ourselves suspended in delusion that is not real. That is not the reality of the situation. That's why I always say being an intuitive person can hurt your feelings quite a bit. And I believe we're all intuitive. I just think that there are some individuals who have really sharpened that skill set and trust it implicitly. And if you are someone who does that, you can find you get your feelings hurt sometimes because you meet people and you're like, ooh, they don't like me. Or you give a presentation, you're like, ooh, they thought I was weird, because you're picking up on the vibe and it could hurt your feelings. But again, as dialed in as your intuition is, you won't know it all, right? You might pick up on the vibe, you might pick up on the energy, the emotion, but you don't know the inner rhetoric that's playing out in that person's mind. And it's not your job nor your responsibility to. Because the thing about picking up everybody's energy is all of a sudden now you're worried around, does this person not like me? Is this person having fun? And it's not your responsibility to. Like, again, if somebody does have a problem with you, that is ultimately their responsibility to voice with you. We cannot play guessing games, right? All I'm saying is that with the Neptune haze currently, Not everything that you are convincing yourself of right now, especially with Mercury opposing Pluto, is the case. Honor the energy, honor the emotion, honor what your intuition is saying, but don't feel like it's your responsibility to go above and beyond to figure out why doesn't this person like me or why did this job say no. That's not your responsibility. Talking about Cancer season, Cancer is all around how it is that we nurture, like we talked about nurturing plants, nurturing pets, nurturing projects, homes, what have you, but also nurturing yourself. Your job, your responsibility firstly is to show up for yourself. So if you're at a social environment, if you're at a meeting and you're worried about everybody else beyond yourself, that is an invitation for you to pull your energy closer. And what I mean by that, I think about our aura, right? The energy that encases us. In times that we want to be very, very magnetic and we want our presence to be deeply felt, it can be helpful just to visualize that energy light body exuding from you and push it out. See it getting wider and wider and wider. And when you do that, you drink up more people's energy, your presence is more felt, right? It does take more space to be able to cleanse and renew at the end of the day, but it can be a powerful way to really allow your presence, your influence to be known. If you're in environments where you're overstimulated, you're already feeling sensitive and you're going into a place where you're like, ugh, there's someone I know who doesn't like me is going to be there, or it's just very crowded, there's a lot of noises. If I take on everybody's energy, I'm gonna feel overwhelmed. Envision that energy that encases you, pull it closer to your body. When I learned to do this, I literally felt like I got my life back. The reason for this is that when you hold a lot of your energy outside of yourself, you are more plugged into other people than you are yourself. So I would be in environments where I was more concerned, are other people having fun? Are people liking me? Are people responding to me well? And when I learned to just pull it in around, am I liking me? Am I having fun? Am I responding to my environment well? Like, the more I pulled my energy inward, the less data I was taking in. Because yesterday we were talking about how Cancer season is all around nurturing plants and pets and children and our homes and our projects. Also nurturing yourself, right? If you're so worried about everybody else, is everybody else having fun? Is everybody else enjoying themselves? Ask yourself, am I having fun? Am I enjoying myself? Like, take care of your vibration first. And don't feel like you need to pick up on everybody's energy just because you can, or read into everybody's energy just because you can. Like, I've found that I got my life back the more that I go into environments, especially if they're overwhelming in some way, or crowded, or overstimulating, or I know people don't like me there. I literally will tap into my inner Delulu and just focus on myself, and not like in a selfish way, but I just do the things that I know are going to be fun for me, and I talk to who I know is going to be fun to talk to. I don't need to extend my energy outward and worry about this person looking at me and talking about me, and this person who's shooting me a dirty look. That has nothing to do with me. My job is to show up for my own energy, to show up for my own vibration. Is that a little Delulu? Yes, but this is the higher vibration of Neptune, is delusions that are helpful, right? Like, whether it's the objective truth or not, that nobody has beef with me at this party, doesn't matter, because that is the dream that I'm suspending myself in. And when I suspend myself in the dream, I know I have the most fun, I'm the most charismatic, and I really spend time with the people I love. It's not your job to figure out, does this person like me? Because honestly, when you try to do that, you're probably going to be wrong. Especially this week, people are fighting battles that you have no idea about, and you're just going to stress yourself out and take all these people's energy that never belonged to you to begin with. So nurture, take care of your own vibration first. Pull your energy closer to you if you do feel overwhelmed, because the energy of Neptune, it is around merging, it is around dissolving. So you can find that you are more sensitive around Tuesday. You can find you are picking up people's energy a little bit more. You can find you're a little bit more confused, right? Which is why it's super important around Neptune energy to ground yourself, right? Whether that's pulling your energy in, maybe meditating before you go somewhere that's overwhelming or overstimulating. It's just with Neptune energy, the amount of psychic data and intel we are getting can be overwhelming. So it's important to ground yourself in your own energy so that you don't confuse your energy with other people's, because that can also be where we get confused. And if you do feel like you're holding on to emotions or energy that's not your own, return to sender. That's another great energetic maintenance tip, is at the end of the day, just allow yourself to cleanse and renew that energetic body and just return to sender any foreign energy that's still hanging out in your energy. Just as we nurture our homes, our projects, our pets, nurture your soul and nurture your aura, right? Because we're just drinking up more intel during this time. And if you're finding that there's elements of confusion or sadness that you're like, I don't know where this came from, you might be picking it up from people around you or things around you, which is why it's important to return to center and come back to center. Also on Tuesday, very Neptunian day, at 4:53 a.m., Mercury will trine Neptune, which is a very dreamy space within our mentality. And now that Neptune is retrograde, keep in mind, I said this turns the lens inward. So you could begin to contemplate, are there any delusions that I have kept myself suspended in for better and for worse? And how can I align myself energetically to delusions that will support me and better my reality? And you might be saying, Haley, Comet, delusions do not have a positive connotation. And yes, that's very much the case. Neptune retrograde can make you contemplate, are there certain rose-colored glasses that you've been wearing that the reality does not sync up with? Have there been certain ways that you've been checking out, escaping, and procrastinating from your reality that are not supporting you? Absolutely. You could be contemplating the delusions that have been harmful. But something that a lot of celebrities will state is that they got famous by already feeling that they were famous. Like, there is a way that delusions can be helpful. Again, important to ground, to remain anchored within your reality. And here I'll define delusion as simply having a certain way of viewing life that your material reality hasn't caught up to. So if you want to be famous, acting like you're already famous until your physical reality aligns to that, right? Maybe not all of us want to be celebrities necessarily, but really contemplate, where is it that you are manifesting your reality by tapping into the emotion first. We talked about this with the Cancer new moon. It's like, if you want to be an artist because you want to feel that energy of feeling deeply fulfilled, of having your artwork in people's homes, how can you align yourself to that emotion? Because we can contemplate from a manifesting lens. When we envision something and feel it energetically, there is no difference than that playing out within our physical reality, right? Energy is energy. If you see it and you feel it, energetically speaking, it's almost like it's playing out within your physical reality. And so this can be a really powerful week around, what is it that I want and how can I get closer to the emotion? If I want to learn how to ride a motorcycle because I want to feel wild and free, how can I get on my bike and pretend it's a motorcycle and tap into those feelings of free, wild abandon in order to magnetize that vision closer to me? Of course, please learn to ride a motorcycle. I'm not saying delude yourself into thinking you could actually be on the motorcycle, but I'm just saying, if there's something that you want, how can you feel that emotion now? And how can you contemplate your own visions, your own delusions, your own fantasies, and align with what really serves you? Because again, this can be a great manifesting opportunity, but a lot of times we use Neptune energy to envision the worst case scenario, right? Everybody hates me. That too is a delusion. That's not the case, right? And so with Neptune now retrograde, it's a contemplation around, are my visions, my fantasies, my delulus, are they serving me, right? And with Mercury trine Neptune, how can I align myself and align my thinking to making these visions a reality? And so with Mercury trine Neptune, it's really contemplating, what visions am I giving fuel to a mental level? Like, what do I dream of? Do I dream of myself on this motorcycle? Do I dream myself being famous, right? And how can I align myself to really energetically tap into that vibration inwardly? And with Mercury trine Neptune, it's just such a beautiful reminder that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, in that you can find the artistry, the spirit, the compassion in the most mundane of circumstances if you are looking for it. Like, you can go somewhere with your friend, we'll say in the vibe check, you went to the beach and you were, in your own head at points of it, kind of like spiraling or obsessing. Does this person hate me? Meanwhile, your other friend was taking all of these stunning photos of these sandcastles and these seashells that you didn't even see. It's like you can be at the same environment as someone else, but when you are so locked within your own mind and so worried about other people, you can miss all of the beauty that is around you. You can see the photos that your friend took at the beach day and been like, I didn't even see those sandcastles. Like, that is such an exemplification around how we are all really living in our own world, because you can go to the same place as somebody else and experience that day and that scenario in totally different ways, dependent on the lens by which you were viewing that experience. Like, if you are grounded enough to be present in your reality rather than spiraling within your own head, you'll be more aware of, oh, there's sandcastles here and these seashells. And furthermore, you'll be able to frame and find the artistry, find the beauty, find the spirit in what surrounds you. Meanwhile, someone can go to the same beach on the same day, hang out with the same friends, and have a totally different experience. They were mostly tuned into how they looked in their swimsuit, or they were mostly tuned into how this person wasn't talking to them. With Mercury trine Neptune and then Mercury opposite Pluto, it really asks what it is that you are focusing on. And those who look for beauty will find beauty everywhere, even in the most mundane of circumstances. You can find the beauty in a walk around your neighborhood if you are looking for it, if you have the eye to receive it, if you are present enough in your environment to really see it. You will find beauty via your workday if you look for it. And with Mercury trine Neptune, you may find you are having more compassionate, heart-opening conversations today. You may find you're reflecting on past memories with someone, even looking at past photos, looking at your Snapchat memories, looking at old IG stories, okay? You know, Neptune governs screens, mirrors, cameras, so it can be associated with photography, and you could be contemplating, reminiscing. Also be contemplating what it is that you want, what it is that you dream of, what your heart longs for, if reality was no constraint, and allowing yourself to dream it. I remember I had a reading with someone many years ago, and she asked me, what would you do if you had like your dream job, right? What would you do? And I felt ridiculous voicing it. I felt so silly voicing it because it felt ridiculous to say. I said, I would do videos. I love making videos. I love making YouTube videos. Ideally, I would want to be on YouTube. And when I say, I almost did not vocalize that to this individual because I was so embarrassed. Like, oh, who does this person think that she is, thinking that she could be on YouTube? And that's so outlandish. Maybe I should say something else, something that's more attainable. But even just the power of vocalizing that and allowing someone to receive it began to give me the courage and the confidence to make this dream real, right? Like with Neptune stationing retrograde, it's a contemplation, what delusions that we're stuck in. So again, I was stuck in this delusion around, this is so outlandish, this could never happen. And even just vocalizing it and having it be received warmly by the individual I was talking to helped me shift around, this could be possible for me. And I began to take actions that aligned with that vision within my mind. Was it kind of delulu? I guess it was delulu to think that I could be a YouTuber, but here we are. May your delulus become trululus, okay? That's like the vibe, right? And allowing yourself with someone that you trust, someone that your soul feels safe with, vocalize those dreams that scare you a little bit or feel a little delusional or feel a little out there. Because sometimes being in that environment where you feel safe to share and having somebody reflect that to you around, oh, I could see you being a YouTuber, or I could see you riding a motorcycle, I could see you being famous. Sometimes it gives you the courage to align yourself to that vision, to that fantasy. So allow yourself to give words to those visions you see within your head, whether it's via conversation, via a journal entry. This could also be a really beautiful day for writing. This could be a really lovely day for fantasizing. You know, Tuesday might have a little bit of a dreamy tinge to it, most certainly, because Neptune is positioned at the final degree of the zodiac. Right after Mercury trines Neptune, it does enter Leo. This happens at 5:53 a.m. And I'm going to chat about the Mercury and Leo energy, but I do want to let you know that we may not feel the more bright, sunny energies of Leo until it's separating from Pluto a little bit more so, because it basically enters Leo and it's greeted by an opposition to Pluto the following day. So it may take until the weekend or even next week until you start to feel some of the higher vibrations of this Leo energy, because sometimes Pluto can pull us into the underworld. But with Mercury and Leo, what you can expect is there's definitely a desire to allow your voice to be heard. You know, Leo's the lion. We're wanting to roar. This can be really helpful for storytelling, right? For allowing our thoughts and our ideas to be put out there, to talk about what makes our heart happy, right? With Mercury and Leo. And this feels so special that it happens after the trine to Neptune, because it's like, I just remember even vocalizing it to that individual that day. It made me so happy to think about, right? I felt ridiculous. I literally almost didn't voice it because it felt so outlandish. But it made my heart happy to think about it. And sometimes if you're in an environment where you're sharing your dreams with people who are not creating that safe haven for them, sometimes they can take that happiness, that joy, and either be competitive with you or even say, oh, that's so dumb, which I'm so sorry if any of you can relate to that, to sharing something that's sacred, that lights you up, that makes you happy to somebody else, and having them tell you it's dumb or it's stupid. It's like anything that lights you up, that brings more joy in this sometimes very dark world, isn't stupid. That is worthy. And with Mercury and Leo, it's wanting to communicate and think about the things that make our heart happy, the things that feel like play. You can find you're more inclined to want to create with your words in some way. This can be helpful if you've been wanting to step into a leadership role, allowing more of your words and ideas to be heard within the workplace, potentially. I will say sometimes with Mercury in a fixed sign, we can be more stubborn. That's definitely something to be mindful of tomorrow. We'll talk about it. We can also find with Mercury now answering to the sun, we're having a hard time separating self from logic, where it could be hard to discuss situations without allowing our own personal heart and feelings to be pulled into it, right? Like there might not be as much separation between this is where I begin and this is where my point begins. Like we could feel like they're one and the same. So if somebody disagrees with us, feeling like it's a personal attack on our own ego, or feeling extra passionate when we are defending or standing up for something because we do feel attached to it in some way, that can also be a potential with this transit. Then that evening at 6:41 p.m. PDT, Venus in Cancer will trine Saturn in Pisces. And Saturn is providing stability to all Venusian matters. So Venus is money. So this could be a great time to get on the same page when it comes to financial planning or financial budgeting. You can find that financial decisions made at this time are very shrewd. That's something we don't talk about when we talk about Cancer energy. Cancer is an energy that's very security oriented, very strategic. So it can be an energy that's very gifted with money. Maybe they take a more conservative approach, but it definitely is an energy around understanding timing, right? With their ruler being the moon, Jupiter, the planet of abundance, exalts in Cancer. So that's not an element we talk enough about when it comes to Cancer. Some of like the best investors do have prominent Cancer placements, but nevertheless, with Venus trine Saturn, it can be really helpful to make very shrewd, security-oriented financial decisions. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, okay? This is the energy around putting your money in a CD, right? And I don't mean this, I mean certificate of deposit. Putting your money in a high-yield savings account, okay? The high-yield savings accounts right now are paying out a really high percentage. Again, this is not financial advice, but I'm just saying, with Venus trine Saturn, it's really around making the shrewd, strategic financial decisions that will benefit you in the future. That's the trine to Saturn. As well as when we consider that Venus is around connections, it's really around the connections that we want to nurture in order to benefit the future. We can allow this weirdness with Belinda to ruminate and to continue, but will that benefit in the future? It'll probably just enhance the chasm between the two of you more and more and more. And when we consider that Cancer is around homes, like those are cracks in the foundation, right? That are existing within this connection, whether it's a romantic connection, a friendship. If there's something that's weird, if there's something that feels off, again, it's not your job to figure it out, but it can be helpful to get on the same page as the people that you love, whether that's financially or just like romantically or just in terms of your connection as a person around, hey, are we on the same page? How can we grow together? How can we address any cracks of the foundation in order to benefit our connection, right? In order to allow more love into this connection. Ultimately, it's all around love. With this happening with Mercury trine Neptune, it could be a great day for forgiveness and getting on the same page to grow together. It could be a great day to talk it out on the remix. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Charlie XCX, her new album Brat, has this song. It's called Girl So Confusing. And she sings a song about just having this weird vibe with a friend, not unlike the vibe check, right? And a lot of people had hypothesized that it was about Lord because there was a few comments in the song around people say, we have the same hair, you know, I think you should put your hands up. Like there are certain lines that people were drawing to Lord. And it wasn't like a diss track, it was more so, I'm sensing a vibe. It's so confusing. And then Lord hopped on the remix and told the weirdness from her perspective. And it was very similar to the vibe check around being stuck in a cycle of self-hatred and even jealousy, right, of someone else. But again, when we feel the vibe but we don't know the details, that gives our mind the space to run rampant, which we hear within Charlie XCX side around, I think you might hate me, right? But meanwhile, Lord was like just stuck in a cycle of hating herself. So I feel like that song really summarizes what this week's astrology is about. And there's a line where Lord says, let's talk it out or let's work it out on the remix. Like that could be a Tuesday energy. You know, we're in a waning crescent energy. It's around putting issues to bed, but it's not the sort of forgiveness where you want this person out of your life. Like with Venus trine Saturn, it's like, how can we build forward together? How can we address these cracks in the foundation in order to have a more solid landing for a connection? Build forward together. Now, if it's a situation where this person is not in your life, but you are wanting to forgive, to set up a foundation for yourself, Tuesday's astrology can also be helpful for that. If you haven't before, I would say this would be a great day for a letter where you just vocalize and verbalize everything that's on your heart in order to get it out of your system. Like closure does not need to be given to you by someone else. Sometimes it's just saying whatever's on your heart, pouring it into a letter, energetically envision yourself telling this to this person and then letting it go, right? Clearing it out in order to give yourself this solid new start. And even if it's not forgiving someone else, this can be an energy around really allowing self-love into your experience in order to feel more steady and more anchored within your own being. Like with Mercury trine Neptune occurring earlier in the day, it's almost like seeing yourself through the eyes of the divine in a sense, right? Like if you've been stuck in a cycle of self-hatred, or even with these Neptune energies oscillating between like a God complex, like I'm the best, everybody's so jealous of me, and then I'm a speck of dust and everybody hates me. Like if you have been struggling to like see yourself clearly, there's almost an ask to see yourself through the very pure, selfless lens of how the divine views you, right? As just a soul who's trying your best and doing your best and who's worthy of love and care and compassion, just like the care and compassion that you pour into your pets and your plants. Like, would you talk to your dog the way you're talking to yourself? Absolutely not, right? Because you view your pet through this very loving, selfless lens. How can you also allow yourself to view yourself that way? There is something going on with someone else. Where can you also assign that lens? It's not saying, especially with Neptune retrograde, it's not saying you have to keep yourself suspended and rose-colored glasses, especially if someone's been mistreating you. But with Mercury trine Neptune, it's just saying like, this is a soul, you know, who's going through their own stuff. It's not my job to figure out why they're like this. It's not my job to figure out why they hate me. But with Mercury trine Neptune, just acknowledging we're all souls having this experience, and I send their soul love and healing and compassion. Like if you find that people have choice words with you, or they're competitive with you, or they're jealous of you this week, you know, with tomorrow's Mercury opposite Pluto, like understand that really doesn't say anything about you. And like with Mercury trine Neptune, it's having the wisdom enough to know and see the situation through the divine's eyes. And can I be the bigger person, acknowledge like this is somebody who's hurting. Like it doesn't give them clearance to hurt me. I can acknowledge that hurt people hurt people. It's not my job to fix them. It's not my job to figure out why they're hurt, but I can take how this person is treating me and understand, ooh, this must be somebody in pain. And where can I choose to have compassion for this situation? And again, compassion does not mean letting them in, letting them have full access to you, but it can have this energy around sending them healing, sending them forgiveness, and then going back to your, you know, sparkly life and pouring energy into what nurtures you with Venus trine Saturn, the connections that nurture you, what it is that you love that nurtures you. And so to a lunar perspective on Tuesday, I do want to share that after midnight around 1:29 a.m., the Taurus moon will align with Uranus. And you may have felt this build on Monday evening, and it could have led to some anxiety, feeling all over the place. And again, that's why it's so important to have that toolkit especially with the moon and exaltation and navigating Cancer season, around the care and keeping of you, right? The resources that you turn to in those times of heightened anxiety or when you feel all over the place. Those rituals, those affirmations, those visualizations, whatever it is that helps ground you when things feel a little chaotic, right? You know, it's important to really learn the art of taking care of yourself. When we have children, right, we read parenting books. We research the plants that we're going to get in order to take care of them. We research how to take care of a bunny if we're going to get a bunny. We so rarely really contemplate, how do I take care of myself? How often do I need to water myself and walk myself? And what do I do if I'm agitated? Like, it's important to really master the art and the craft of taking care of yourself, because when you take care of yourself first, everything else in your life gets a little bit easier. It doesn't alleviate the challenges and the obstacles, but it does get easier, whatever that may be. I remember at my 9 to 5, I had a little essential oil roller stick that when I was really anxious, I would roll that on, I would sniff it, I would breathe, and that would like help me ground down in those moments, or walks, whatever it is. I just want to say that with Moon Uranus, there can be erratic, unstable emotions feeling all over the place. Moon sextiles Neptune at 8:43 a.m., adding to the Neptunian phase that we're kind of in the morning. You may find you're more inclined to go slow. You may somewhat be in dreamland, right? With the Neptune energy, you could be romanticizing your life, especially with Mercury trine Neptune. Applying a more cinematic, emotional lens to what it is that you're viewing could be helpful. The moon is then void after it sextiles Neptune until it enters Gemini at 8:50 a.m. So when the moon's in Gemini, we can have all of these ideas. It definitely heightens the communicative energy. And with Mercury trine Neptune, there could be conversations that are a little bit more heartfelt, right? A little bit more soulful. And with Gemini moon, really being curious. And again, when it comes to squashing the beef with Belinda, it was like being curious on this person's perspective. It wasn't approaching it through this lens around, you hate me and you got the rest of the friend group to hate me. It's like, where can I be curious around where you are viewing things? Because with the energy of Gemini, it's a reminder that there's always something new that we can learn, right? From every conflict, we can learn something new. From every person that we can learn something new. So it's being open to ask the questions rather than escaping into our own world and drawing our own conclusions. It's allowing ourselves that space to say, hi, just curious, your perspective on this. And that's emphasized with the Gemini moon sextile Mercury in Leo around 9:16. You may find this is a great day for shooting social media content. Okay, Mercury in Leo could be around wanting our thoughts to be heard. This could be a great day for meetings, for brainstorming. There's definitely something that is wanting to be said. And then with the moon trining Pluto in Aquarius around 11:11, there's power in language today. So use it intentionally. Use it to talk about your dreams rather than to talk about gossip. Use it to build up your ideas and your visions rather than cut yourself down. And that's even more significant because Mercury opposes Pluto so early on Wednesday that you're going to feel this on Tuesday build, and your thoughts could be convincing you things that are not true. Again, we're still in the Neptunian haze with it switching directions, and with Mercury opposite Pluto, we could be spiraling or allowing our thoughts to snowball into paranoia and obsessiveness and jealousy and rumination. So it might just be helpful to have those check-in points around, where am I going? Right? Gemini moon has a lot of thoughts. Now it's answering to Mercury, who's building to oppose Pluto as we continue on in Tuesday. So it's really important to check yourself every so often around, what am I thinking about? And ultimately, with Mercury separating from its trine to Neptune and opposing Pluto, what am I creating? And it's not saying you need to filter every thought, good thought, bad thought, good thought, bad thought. But are the bulk of most of your thoughts around what it is that you want, reality you're trying to align with, the visions you're trying to materialize, or are they concentrated around where it is that you feel like you're not good enough, where you feel like people are hating you, where the worst case scenario is happening? Like with Mercury opposite Pluto, there could be intensities that we are navigating mentally. So it might be helpful that day to just have check-in points around, whoa. I've been on Reddit for 45 minutes scanning around this worst case scenario, or I've been, venting to my girlfriend on the phone for 3 hours around how my life is over because of this certain situation. It's important to check yourself, ground yourself, and reroute if possible, to talk more so around what it is that you want to create or what is lighting you up. right now. So on Wednesday, July 3rd, I want to share that shortly after midnight at 12:27 a.m. to be exact, Mercury in Leo will oppose Pluto in Aquarius. And Pluto governs extremes. And so you could observe your mental space feels a little extreme right now. And keep in mind what I said about Mercury in Leo is that we could be taking things a little bit more personally or finding it hard to separate ourselves from things. It's so important to keep in mind that yes, it was somewhat about you, but it wasn't really about you. Like, it wasn't that Belinda hated you. It's not that you did something wrong. And again, you were so paranoid, obsessing over what did I do? And we do this so often. We feel like more is about us than it really is. My Capricorn mom would always tell me straight up, she's like, Haley, nobody's thinking about you because everybody is obsessed with themselves. And it's true. Everybody's just thinking on themselves, their dreams, their insecurities, their wants, their desires. People are not thinking about you as much as you think that they are. And allow that to give yourself some healing if you are in moments around, why'd I say that? That was so awkward. Nobody remembers what you said. Or, oh my God, I fell. I'll never live that down. Nobody remembers that you fell. Like, you are the protagonist in your world. So obviously you're going to obsess over certain parts of your story arc, but it's important to know that within other people's story, you are a supporting character. You might even be an extra in other people's story. It's just important to keep in mind that people are not thinking about you as much as you think that they may be, because things are so rarely about us. There can be somebody who gives you a dirty look and you might be like, what did I do? But with the opposition of Pluto, maybe you looked like her boyfriend's ex. Like, you just don't know, because it's beyond who it is that you are within your pure light. With opposition to Pluto, it's also what people can project onto you or what you represent to that person's psyche that is causing them to give you a dirty look. And that has nothing to do with you. That has nothing to do with you. And you don't need to take it personally. You don't need to feel like there's something that you did wrong, right? And again, I want to be so clear. I'm not saying that we're perfect and that we don't make mistakes, but I'm saying if there's no reason for someone to have beef with you, Mercury opposite Pluto, just know that that's their deal. That has nothing to do with you. Your job with Mercury and Leo is to do what makes your heart happy. Within the vibe check, that was a situation in which you wanted to clear the air because it was something that was valuable to you. With Venus trine Saturn, if there is a connection, a relationship that carries value for you, there can be a growth opportunity to get on the same page, to plan forward, to align yourself to the connection, to the relationship that you have, as well as that you want to continue to build with this person. But if it's someone random that you do not care, do not feel like you need to mentally obsess over this person. And Pluto can be around, obsessiveness and jealousy. And so some of you could feel this around comparing yourself to others. Maybe you in the vibe check aren't so much the protagonist of a vibe check. Maybe you're related to Belinda, where you're like, I know what that feels like to have somebody who has something that I want and to not be able to separate my own feelings of what this person brings up within me from this person, right? Like within the vibe check, the protagonist didn't do anything wrong, but she represented something to Belinda that created these feelings of jealousy and comparison and obsession that ultimately poisoned the friendship. And again, it was something you guys worked out and got on the same page. Y'all worked it out on the remix. So sorry. But with Mercury opposite Pluto, we can notice that we're in this kind of more obsessive space, right? Feeling like we missed the mark, right? With a lot of Cancer energy, we can feel like we missed our chance for something. We can feel like we misused our time. We can feel like other people are doing better than us or other people are getting what it is that we want. You might be on the receiving end where people are trying to compete with you. They're saying snarky comments that you're like, where is this coming from? Why are you giving me this weird energy? Pluto's also around power, so you could just find that people are trying to boss you around. They're trying to tell you what to do. And I would say if that comes up and it's available to you, with Venus trine Saturn, it would be applying a more teamwork mentality to it. Around, rather than feeding into this weirdness with Mercury opposite Pluto, where can we get on the same page? Where can we grow forward together? Like, let's say there's a boss who's trying to boss you around and you have resentment over it. With Venus trine Saturn, it's really around coming back to this teamwork mentality around, okay, I see the end result and we both want the end result. How can we get there? Right? It's viewing problems rather than me versus you. It's like us versus the problem, right? And addressing focus to the end result, which again, within a work connection, the end result is going to be the same, right? We want this successful project completed. When it comes to the connection with Belinda, we want the same end result. We want to get on the same page within our relationship, within a squabble, within your romantic relationship. We want to get on the same page. We want to build forward stronger. And with Mercury opposite Pluto, our words can be more intense and we could even hit below the belt. But drawing back to Venus trine Saturn, how can we focus and tune into the end result in order to get on the same page? It's not me versus you, it's us versus the problem. The more that you can lean into that team building mentality, the more that you will diffuse some of the more stubborn or tense energies building midweek. So Wednesday's astrology from a lunar perspective is a bit of a mixed bag. Very apropos for Cancer season, as shortly after midnight, the Gemini moon will align with Jupiter. Yes, this can bring feelings of generosity, of goodwill, of wanting to nurture what is sacred to us, even learn about something that makes us feel more connected to the bigger picture. But I do want to highlight that Jupiter expands what it touches. So you could just be feeling big emotions, and in turn, big emotions that you might be overthinking about. With Mercury opposite Pluto, like I was saying for Tuesday, it's helpful to have those moments to check in with yourself around where is my focus and energy going, where it is that you can ground yourself amidst it and think, okay, I'm going to be the container that holds these emotions, but this particular line of thinking is not serving me. Let me put it into a book instead, right? Or let me instead visualize or fantasize about something I want to happen. It's not doing me any good to overthink that particular interaction from 3 different angles and perhaps experience big emotions around it. So it just feels like some of us could feel quite optimistic, expansive Tuesday night, Wednesday, early Wednesday morning, and some of us could be dealing with some big emotions that we are overthinking about. Typical Gemini fashion. And then later in the day at 6:58 p.m., the Gemini moon will square Saturn in Pisces. So again, we're overthinking and it's hurting our feelings. When we overthink, we hurt our feelings. And again, for some of us, this could just be dealing with annoyances of reality around, dang, I wanted to make something particular for dinner and I don't have the key ingredient. How annoying. Or, oh, I wanted a night off, but of course my boss is emailing me, asking me to do this, that, and the third. Or even maybe you're being social, but you're feeling kind of awkward. You're overthinking what you're saying, what you're not saying. Again, nobody's thinking about you as much as you are thinking about yourself. So allow that to ground yourself, pull your energy closer, and come back into, how am I feeling? How am I doing? Have I ate? Try not to be so worried about everybody and everything. Come back into yourself, ground yourself, take care of yourself. So on Thursday, the 4th, firstly, I want to share that tomorrow we have the new moon in Cancer. And a couple things happen before new moons. As I highlighted earlier in the week, we can feel inclined to want to cleanse, to renew, to tie up loose ends, to release, to forgive. It's a time around crossing our T's, dotting our I's, whatever it is that we don't want to take with us into the next lunar cycle. It also can be a time that we feel quite low energy, and the Gemini moon squaring Neptune today certainly isn't helping with that. You could be kind of in your own little fantasy world, and you could also just be feeling sleepy, groggy, out of it, just inclined to want to relax and conserve energy. For some of you, especially with that square to Neptune, you may be feeling quite a bit. There might be a lot of emotions that come to the surface, and if that is the case, you can be nearly certain that tomorrow's new moon may be a more potent new beginning for you. Because not every new moon and full moon is life-changing for us each and every time. There are certain new moons and full moons that are more pivotal or more accentuated than others. And if a lot of emotions come to the surface before a new moon, typically it's your soul wanting these things to be felt and thus released for you to really have this new beginning, for you to have this new start. So again, this week is really asking you to be the container, to hold the emotion, to learn from it, to nurture yourself amidst it, and to trust it will not feel like it does today. Like Cancer energy is really around, the tides are always turning, the energy is always shifting. Very sentiment around it won't always feel as it does today can be such a great relief when we're going through it, right? When we're like, oh, thank goodness it's not always gonna feel like this because this is a mess. But in times of joy or happiness, or just when we're in a memory that we just want to soak up, that we want to download into our soul, into our spirit, it can be so bittersweet. And we can even poison our present by thinking about the future, right? Around this won't last forever. We could want to cling to it. But the best thing that you could do is, again, allow yourself to be the receiver for these beautiful moments, to be fully present within them, to drink them up, right? To nourish them. You can hold that nuance around things will change one day without fearing when they do, right? Just allowing yourself to fluctuate with the ebbs and flows of life is really what's being asked of here. So on Thursday, to a lunar perspective, the Gemini moon sextiles Chiron in Aries around 1:54 a.m. So there can be certain healing conversations or even healing dialogue that you're contemplating really on Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. And as I highlighted, the Gemini moon will square off with Neptune in Pisces around 1:44 p.m., which can have you lost in thought, lost in the abyss of thought. Like I said, some of us could just feel sleepy. We want to escape. Some of us could just feel like our focus is just all over the place. We're pulled in many different directions. Some of us could be thinking about the past. You could be visualizing the future. You could be romanticizing your crush. Like, you could just be anywhere but here, which is why I was saying pull the energy back. Be here now, right? And the moon will enter Cancer, the sign of the forthcoming new moon, at 1:51 p.m. So with the moon now in its rulership, the moon is mooning, right? So emotions are highlighted, our sentimental, nostalgic energy is highlighted. You could be wanting to withdraw into home, to family, to the friends that feel like family, right? Your chosen family. The energy of Cancer is really into those connections, those places that make us feel like home. And as I was highlighting earlier, I'm a big believer in, the soul, the spirit of our home, but I just want to speak to particularly those who may be in a challenging circumstance where your home environment's actually taking a lot from you. You don't feel safe within your own physical residence, right? The energy of Cancer could be asking the other applications of home. What makes you feel safe? Those spaces that make you feel safe, whether it's driving to the ocean or even just feeling at ease at home within your own physical body, right? Cancer is the crab. Crab has its shell, it has its exoskeleton. Home can be wherever it is that you are. When you have those grounding rituals, when you have those self-care tactics that bring you back into that space of stability, that bring you back into that space of security, even if your life is anything but, right? It's really dialing into home in how that shows up in many different facets of your life can be a focus with tomorrow's new moon. So on Friday, July 5th, firstly, I want to wish you a very happy new moon in Cancer. The new moon will exact at 3:57 p.m. PDT, but please do not fret if you do not get to celebrate it at that particular moment. Know that the new moon portal is open for the next 3 days, and you really just have this blank slate, this co-creative opportunity around what it is that you want to invite into your world. Again, those emotions that you want to experience, that sensation of home that you want to experience, and to figure out what arena of your life is particularly fertile with this lunation, you'll want to look at what part of your chart holds 14 degrees Cancer. That is an arena of your life that is asking for you to nurture it. And again, even if you don't desire anything big within that arena, maybe the question you're asking yourself is, how can I nurture myself more within this particular arena? Or how can I nurture my success within this particular sector? Or how can I align myself to what externally will bring me closer to the emotions that I want to experience, while also acknowledging that those things are not the only way that I can experience that emotion, right? That's why I'm saying energetically and vibrationally, if we can feel it now, we do become a vibrational match to circumstances that will allow us to feel that particular emotion. But it's important not to feel like the only way that I can feel happy is via this specific person, or the only way I will feel fulfilled within my life is via this particular job. Be certain on the emotion that you want to feel. Be flexible in how the universe chooses to deliver that to you. And if possible, my best manifestation tip with this new moon, allow yourself to feel those emotions now. Do what helps you feel those emotions now. I don't want to say it's about tricking your brain, because that sounds a little sneaky, but I think with Neptune switching directions, it's really around how we can delude ourselves closer to success by feeling what we want to feel now and allowing ourselves to align to that circumstance. And other arenas outside of the house that this new moon lands in for you that you'll want to contemplate. Again, Cancer is about emotions. It's also around family. So if there's been a certain intention that you've wanted to cultivate around family, you've been wanting to reconcile, the new moon aligns with Venus, the planet of peace and harmony. It trines Saturn, so it could be around a new beginning, right? Turning over a new page. And we saw this within the vibe check with your connection to Belinda. And Cancer also has to do with home. So this can also be an invitation to invite in the properties, the residences, the renovation projects that will allow you to really feel that soulful sanctuary that you deserve. I feel like I really manifested my home. I love my home. It's seen some stuff. It's seen a lot of roommates. It's seen a lot of drama. It's seen a lot of iterations of me, but I love this home. It's taking care of me, so I take care of it. When I worked at my 9-to-5, it was my last semester in school, and I brought my running stuff to the office so I could go for a long run after, because I lived far from where my office was, and my office was located in kind of a trendy neighborhood where there was like some park trails and things of that nature, so I wanted to go for a long run. So I go for this run and I just allow my intuition to guide me. That's a great way to connect deeper to your intuition. Just allow yourself to go for a walk and just following the nudges of where spirit takes you. Spirit will always take you somewhere if you allow yourself to be guided by it. And so that's what I did while I was on this run, and I ended up in this neighborhood that I had never been to before. And I remember running, and there was this complex that had these faded palm trees. And I took a picture of it and sent it to my best friend because we were in our last semester of senior year and we were going to have to look for a place. We wanted to live together. And I took a picture of this apartment complex with these faded palm trees painted on it. And I was like, OMG, this reminds me of Lana. We should live here. And it was a neighborhood that I'd never been in before, but I just loved it. I loved the neighborhood. I loved the faded palm trees. We were really into Lana Del Rey. I mean, we still are, but particularly at that time, we were like, yes, Lana lifestyle. And then after looking at many different places, we got to tour this place. And I remember before I even stepped in, I knew. Because it's literally diagonal to that apartment complex where I saw those faded palm trees, and I sent a picture and said, we should live here. It's not the same complex, but I was literally within feet of where it is that we would live, right? And the place that would encase me for the next 8 years of my life. And so to give more nuance to this new moon, it makes a very wide conjunction to Venus. So this could be a great new moon to invite in more beauty, more harmony, more love into your experience. And this new moon trines Saturn. So it's a stable, solid new beginning, right? Whether you are turning over a new page in your relationship, whether you are manifesting a new home that will really ground you and anchor you, whether you are calling in certain emotions that will help you build forward towards your dream life, there is this energy of stability, and that our emotions, our intuition can be something that helps us build. Like, I can't even tell you what I felt when I saw that apartment. Like, part of me just knew I would live in this neighborhood. And I'd never been to this neighborhood before. I knew nothing about it. But part of me could just see me and my best friend living here. Part of me was so certain what I wanted our home to feel like. Again, it was a spiritual intuitive pull that helped me anchor and materialize something within my physical world. Because ultimately, what's the point of intuition and spiritual connectivity if we don't act on it, right? If we don't trust it, if we don't allow it to guide us, to be our GPS system. So the new moon can also be a time to align with trusting your intuition, particularly when it comes to building your pathway forward and building the right dreams, which is important with Saturn having stationed retrograde last week. Let me know how that was for you. I'll link it above. And Neptune stationing retrograde this week. I also want to share that this new moon marks a halfway point in between eclipses. And we see that with the new moon squaring the nodes, or you can say bending the nodes. And sometimes it can create this check-in point around where we've been, where we're going, right? What's easy, where we're pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone. And again, allow your emotions and your intuition to guide the way. Allow what it is that you want to feel to guide the way towards this new beginning. And with the Mars sextile to Saturn aligning on the same day, both planets are talking to the new moon, it's an energy around tune into your intuition, tune into what your soul is saying, and allow it to make you feel more motivated to take action, right? Allow it to be your superpower of sorts, right? That extra bit of magic, that allowing it to guide your actions forward and take action and to feel more supported, moving in the direction of what it is that you soulfully and spiritually want out of this experience. This aligns at 12:02 p.m. Now, do keep in mind, sextile is an opportunity aspect, very soft, subtle flow of energy. But there is an energy to work smarter and not harder, okay? Yes, Mars is not dignified in Taurus, which could slow us down, which could ask for us to think of consistency over speed. But also, Taurus is very intentional around how it is that they bucket and allocate their energy, right? That's why I love Taurus energy, is that they differentiate themselves from the other earth signs, Virgo and Capricorn, in that they will not burn themselves out. They will not over allocate themselves or work hard. Certainly, there's work ethic there, but in order to enjoy their life, in order to have the sensual pleasures, the creature comforts that they like. And so with Friday, it may ask you to be very diligent with where you are placing your energy. Like I said, last week we had Saturn retrograde, so you could have audited, where is my time going and how can I use it more intentionally? Also, Mars is around conflict, which is why within the vibe check, it was really around how can we be proactive rather than letting this energy simmer? How can we build forward? How can we talk it out in the remix? Or work it out in the remix, right? Conflict is not a bad thing. It's about how it is that we navigate it and how we work through it. Like the downside of Mars and Taurus is that there can be a temptation to allow things to build up and build up and build up until we explode. But with Mars sextile Saturn, it asks, before it gets to that place, before in 3 hangouts from now, when you're 2 vodka sodas in, you scream at Belinda, let's be proactive. Let's address these cracks in the foundation now so we can grow together. Because every single connection will have conflict every so often. It's about how we handle it and how we grow forward with it. So that's also a potential when it comes to your Friday. And that evening at 11:33 p.m. to be exact, Venus in Cancer will square Chiron in Aries. And I want to bring forward a couple of different manifestations of how you could feel this. So firstly, Cancer is a sign so deeply wants to belong. And with Venus in Cancer, you want to belong, you want to feel safe within your connections. And that may not be what you're feeling currently. With Venus square Chiron, this could be delineated to a wound around not feeling that sense of belonging, not feeling that sense of safety or home or comfort around the people around you. It could be certain wounds that are activated within your connections. And again, it's so important to be clear this week, especially with this Neptune fog, because with Venus square Chiron, this wound of not belonging can make you shut down. And again, withdraw, and with Mercury opposite Pluto, obsess and hypothesize. But with Venus trining Saturn and squaring Chiron, it's seeing where can we learn from this wound that's triggered? Where can we actually grow within our connection? Where can I choose to show up for this relationship rather than shut down? And it's important with Chiron and Aries to keep in mind that we don't know what battles people are facing. And we see this just with Chiron being in Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars, the planet of weaponry. And we don't know what people are battling with. So when we make it about us, we don't know the inner hell that that person could be going through. Like, you could also view that situation on the beach where you were withdrawing and you're in your own head around everyone hates me. People might have been like, oh, she just thinks she's too cool. She doesn't want to be there. Meanwhile, you are obsessing and hyperfixating. You might look at Belinda and be like, oh, she's such a mean girl. She hates me. But meanwhile, Belinda is obsessing inwardly on this battle that she's fighting. And you could feel this battle that you're fighting, particularly activated around Venusian themes. So again, love could activate wounds within, connections can activate wounds within, beauty, like in Belinda's case, like aesthetic could be activating wounds, not feeling good enough, not feeling valuable enough. And again, it's important not to allow those triggers to win out, right? Not to allow ourselves to react in a very knee-jerk way around, you hurt me, so I'm gonna hurt you. Or you made me feel left out, so I'm gonna make you feel left out. Or you look the way that I wish I looked in a bathing suit, so I'm gonna be rude to you. Like there could be a temptation around wanting to hurt other people before we're hurt. These are two cardinal signs, which cardinal is around taking action. So we could feel triggered and want to do something around it. And what I would ask is just allowing yourself to be the container, observe what within you was triggered there. How can you grow through it with Venus trining Saturn? This is around a new moon. So it's again, a new start, a new beginning, a new page being turned. Are you going to allow the old stories, the old insecurities, the old woundings to get in the way of this solid, grounded new beginning? And I want to speak to this in terms of love. Like with Venus square Chiron, some of you could be navigating feelings of betrayal or feeling like you nurtured or poured a lot into somebody who ultimately hurt you. And with the new moon in Cancer aligning with Venus and trining Saturn, it's allowing yourself to align to healthy love and not allowing your next beginning when it comes to relationships to have these old stories, those old triggers exist within it. Because like I said, Venus brings up themes of value, and it's important to know that you are valuable enough for a relationship that is grounded, that feels safe, where you feel like you can build, where you feel at ease within, where you don't feel like you constantly have to be on guard around. I just feel like for some of you with Venus square Chiron, you could actually be purging out old stories of wounding, of not feeling safe to trust, of not feeling safe to allow these sweet, nurturing energies of your own to be received and poured back into. Again, honoring that symbiosis that exists and knowing that with Venus square Chiron, sometimes we could feel triggered and want to withdraw from connections. Like what you did on the beach around, I feel like they hate me, so I'm going to withdraw into my own shell. It's choosing to lead with love in this new beginning. It's choosing to align with love and knowing that love is something that is grounded. Love is something that is anchored. Love is something that makes you feel safe, and it's aligning consciously with that vibration. On Saturday, July 6th, the Cancer moon will trine Saturn around 1:10 a.m. Then going on to sextile Mars, square Chiron, align with Venus. And again, with every situation, we have this option, whether we lean into love and compassion and forgiveness, or whether we lean into fear, right? Because ultimately, that's the energy of Chiron, is these old fear tapes playing because we have been hurt, because we have nurtured or poured into situations where we felt taken advantage of, because we have had our vulnerabilities, emotional side exposed, right, to this world. And again, that situation with Belinda on the beach would have gone so differently had you both been in this very triggered energy, right? Like we have to keep in mind with Cancer, it's the crab, right? If we would have reacted with our little pinchers, right? Around, no, I'm not being weird, you're being weird, right? We would have denied ourselves this opportunity to really lead with love and with emotional vulnerability and with care and with compassion. So just seeing as you navigate your Saturday, yes, the moon's in Cancer, you could be feeling all sorts of emotions, but particularly when it comes to any sort of interaction that you have, see where it is that you can pull your heart into it, even if it's just talking with your cashier, right? Or talking with a client, like allowing that element of warmth and compassion into your interactions. Like I said, you never know what people are battling with, whether it's financial wounds that are coming alive, romantic wounds that are coming alive, aesthetic wounds, we just don't know. So allowing yourself to approach every interaction around how can I be a beacon of love? And again, not to your own detriment, not giving and giving and giving at the expense of yourself, but being so anchored within your own vibration, showing up for yourself with such compassion and care that it feels natural to also pour that into others. So all of that happens earlier in the day, and then the Cancer moon sextiles Uranus midday, which can be empowering novel ways to cope with old emotions of some sort. And then the Cancer moon will trine Neptune in Pisces at 8:47 p.m., which does give a dreamy, compassionate, caring approach to our day. The moon will enter Leo at 8:56 p.m., which does illuminate heart, creativity, self-expression. It does oppose Pluto, so you could be feeling things intensely. You can be taking things personally, just something to be mindful of. So on Sunday, July 7th, it feels to be a very busy day, perhaps mentally with the Leo moon aligning with Mercury in Leo. At 1:23 p.m., there could be all sorts of ideas. You could be writing poetry, having conversations, learning something new. And then the Leo moon sextiles Jupiter in Gemini. So ultimately, Sunday, day of the sun, allow yourself to play, have fun, lead and love with your heart space. And I love that a lot of the cosmos is concentrated in Cancer and Leo, as this means a lot of the cosmos are answering to the sun and the moon. And the sun and moon at the time being are in mutual reception, right? The Cancer sun is answering to the Leo moon is answering to the Cancer sun, as Leo governs the sun, Cancer governs the moon. And something that's special about the luminaries, the light bearers, right, is that it's all around how it is that we shine and what lights us up. And for those of you like myself who are here in the Northern Hemisphere, allow yourself to have playful, fun summer memories, right? To know that this particular chapter of your life will be something that you will reminisce on in the future, right? Cancer is very nostalgic, it's very sentimental, and yes, sometimes we can poison our present when we think about, oh, things are gonna change, or when we ruminate too much on the past. Allow yourself to feel anchored within this particular summer, within the memories that you are making, within the fun that you're having. Please remember to have fun, to do what lights you up, and to allow yourself to drink in, to soak up this particular iteration, this particular emotion, this particular moment. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I honor the transient state of all things. And again, I want to be clear, I don't want this mantra to make you descend into fear. That's the last thing you need. With Mercury opposite Pluto, which could have us obsessed and paranoid about all sorts of things, right? But it's just honoring things are constantly fluctuating. Allow that to be an opportunity to plug in more deeply into the present moment, honoring it won't always feel like it does right now. I won't always have this particular summer day, this particular beach day, this particular connection. Let me soak it up. Let me be here now. This will be a memory one day. Let me be present within it. But let's say it's not beach days that are your current reality. If you're going through something challenging, it's important to honor this is a temporary state of being. Things are always fluctuating and changing. We don't panic when the moon is new, right? We don't say, where's the moon? It's gone. We trust that it will be full again. And you may need to work that muscle of trusting that your life will be full again. Things will bring renewal. Things will change. My loves, in closing, if you made it to the end, let me know by dropping the ocean emoji or using the word ocean within a sentence. I so appreciate you listening to the end. I know these Magic Mondays are quite long, but thank you for flowing with me and flowing with the cosmos. I'd like to give another warm thank you to Magic Mind for sponsoring this week's Magic Monday. A reminder that you can get up to 48% off when you go to the link within my description or pinned comment and use the code Comet. But until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.